Yeah. Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us today for the webinar. It was really great to see a lot of people attending this session today, and I would really like to thank everyone for great motivation for us to come up and bring this session. We're really thankful for everybody who is attending this session and is going to be more. We'll try to make it more interactive, and definitely we'll come up with more innovative sessions around testing. The things that we are doing in automation testing, security, performance. We'll talk more. We'll bring more webinars, and we'll share our experience from being an independent testing company where we are helping a lot of customers. So I'll jump on to talk about today's session. So we are going to talk about how Playwright has revolutionarily helped us in Salesforce test automation. Uh, so we are going to talk about one of the client challenge of the client who has a challenge automating his testing for Salesforce application, which was more of a CRM based application that they were using for Salesforce, and they want to integrate both web and Salesforce as an end-to-end test automation. And we provide a solution with Playwright, which helped them reduce their test execution time and provide them faster feedbacks. So we're going to touch upon the approach that we have used, and we'll also would like to hear from you. Feel free to put questions in Q&A section so that we can cover those in the session. So today, myself, I am Alias Gachaiwala. I'm Chief Test Architect with Testrig Technologies. I have around 2 decades of experience in software testing. I have worked with various organizations, various technologies and test automation tools. So currently I'm working with Testrig Technologies, providing solution to our customers and helping them build better test automation framework and integrate them with their CI/CD pipelines and proposing them new approaches how we can automate and fast track their testing cycle. I will have Uday Shankar and Vaibhav Pawar to help me in this demonstration, and we'll try to make sure we'll cover in depth about the approach, and then we'll take up the questions and anything that we want to talk about in the next session. We can we'll plan those conversations in future ahead. I also introduce about Testrig Technologies. We are an independent software testing company based here in Pune. We have a solid foundation of 10 years in software testing, around 90 plus customers that we have worked with. We have delivered 100 plus project, and we are using around 25 plus software testing tools. And we always make sure that we analyze the problem, the technology stack for the customer, and help them provide the solution that fits into their tech stack and help them to deliver the better quality products. We are 100 plus QA certified QAs based here in Pune location, and we have worked on various domains like retail, risk and compliance, banking, and sports domain. So we are around covering 15 plus industry domains and help the customer at different tech stack and different domains to help them to improve their testing processes and set up their automation pipeline for their products. Moving on, now why we chose this topic. So this is more of a case study that we want to present and how it has helped one of our customer to fast track their release cycle for a Salesforce application. Now Salesforce being a very complex and application from a test automation perspective. Now our objective of choosing this topic was we want to build an end-to-end test automation framework. We want to make sure that the client could deliver rapid Salesforce testing feedback and also integrate it with their CI/CD pipeline. So automation framework was also integrated with CI/CD pipeline. These three topic that we are going to talk today and explain how we have done it for one of the client. Now, I'll just brief the agenda. We'll talk about industry challenges. We'll talk about the solutions that we have done. We'll cover a real-world example, and we'll have live demo. And at the end, we will have Q&A session. So I would request the attendees to feel free to ask, put a question or comment so that we can take up those questions in the session or at the end of the session. Now, with Salesforce, these are the three major challenges that we found, and we tried to provide a solution on it. Now, Salesforce, the application itself is complex. It is a lot of components on the application, and they are using lighting web components, which is really complex for us to find the element. Element locator was a really big challenge while automating this application. The second was because this application is very complex, to provide an end-to-end solution both for web and API was a challenging task for us to achieve. And then test execution was a bottleneck because manual testing was a really big challenge for the client, and we tried to automate and try to solve this problem while integrating with the build pipeline. Now, the solution that we provided, we implemented a smart finding method that bypass the Lightning Web element. Now, what that means that Playwright, because we are going to talk about Playwright a lot. So Playwright is a latest test automation framework, and it provides a smart locator finding strategy approach that helps us to identify the locator easily, and it is more reliable, stable as compared to other tools like Cypress or Selenium. Now, along with the UI automation, Selenium, the Playwright was also able to provide us an API API test integration in the same framework. So we integrated the data flow while testing the APIs along with the web application automation. Now, we also integrated the whole framework into build pipeline so that it can run faster, provide feedback fast, and with every code commit, the client was confident enough that there is a regression or sanity pack or the whole test suite is executed, which provides them feedback faster. Now we were talking about a real world example. So this was one of our client, US-based healthcare card online store. They have multiple products, web-based product. They were integrated to the Salesforce application. Now the end-to-end automation for Salesforce application was a big challenge over there. They had been using existing test automation framework, but it was not able to achieve the whole end-to-end automation. Now the requirement was to build a regression test suite that help the customer, the client, to run the end-to-end test automation. It's robust enough because the kind of release that happens with Salesforce, the components are very dynamic, the UI changes a lot. So we want to make sure that there is a robust regression test suite available for the customer. And we made sure that there's an integration between the API, the web, and Salesforce application. So the web, the front end was the storefront was a web, and then the back end was a Salesforce application. There was APIs that were available that need to be tested. Now we integrated whole CI/CD pipeline. We integrated the platform with the CI/CD pipeline. Now some challenges that we faced while doing that, locator identification was a complex because the DOM is really complex in Salesforce application, and they have two different views: the classic view and the native view. So now Salesforce provide two different views, and we need to make sure the automation is able to handle that. The complex UI and API verification, because UI was complex, even API verification, that was also a challenge while building the test automation framework for the client. And running this test as a part of code deployment. Now, the objective that was given to us from the client was to make sure that there's a full end-to-end regression test suite that works with every build, every release, which happens. It's also happening right now. Every week when they release the product, they make sure they run the whole regression, which is around 800 test cases, running in parallel, providing feedback, and getting the result on the dashboard. Set up a continuous testing pipeline and provide feedback to each other. Now, this CI/CD pipeline integration was, we were able to provide them a faster feedback. With every build release, you get feedback what is the quality of the code that's going in production or UAT. Now our solution was clear. Yes, we analyzed. So as we work with customers as a testing partner, we analyze multiple solutions and we try with them, and then we came up that right best fit for their need, and that is it how it worked. We implemented Playwright where it was able to handle both web, API, and Salesforce automation. There was no major blocker or challenge using Playwright. And we also improved the coverage. Validation between API and UI was achieved. And now their releases are faster. They don't need to wait for multiple rounds of manual testing. Now the pipeline takes care of running the regression suite. Team has to make sure run the sanity pack, run the regression pack in the pipeline, and get a result out of it. We will cover three demos now. There will be a live demo where Webo and Uday will cover these three topics. Build a Salesforce application test automation with Playwright, implementing AI validation with Playwright, and integrating the whole test framework with Bitbucket CI/CD pipeline. Now, these are just demo application, demo API, and approach that we are showing out over here, but they are more or similar how we can use these approach in any of the pipeline or any of the application that we want to automate. Now I would like to hand over it to uh, Vabo to talk about
Yeah.
the first demo, where he'll talk about how he has implemented the UI automation using Playwright. Over to you,
Uh,
Vabo.
yeah. Thanks, Ali. Thanks for the good introduction about the webinar and the flow that we are going to show in the demo. So, hi guys. Thank you for the joinings to the webinar. We specifically talk about the Playwright, how we use the Playwright within the or basically validating and working with the Salesforce application. So let me share my screen. Yeah, I think my screen is visible correctly, right? Perfect. Yeah. Is my screen visible, Ali? Yeah.
Yep, yep. Go ahead.
Yeah, got it. Yeah. So in the first demo, in the demo one, we specifically talk about the build Salesforce applications, and where we using the Playwright to work with the Salesforce application for the automating the most of the flows as per the UI perspective. So the main goal for the demo one is basically finding out a smart method to bypass the lightning elements hiding. Because as Ali mentioned previously, we have a Salesforce application, and Salesforce application is mostly diverse and dynamic in the nature. So most of the time, the some of the elements are currently visible or not, and some of the components of the applications are behave dynamically on the basis of the action that we have performed within the application. So the techniques that we have used to work with this flow, first of all, we work the session. As we know, the Playwright supports the session storage flow, where we can maintain the session of end user, and we can use that particular session to execute or to work with the multiple scripts within the framework. The second approach, where where we were basically using the shadow DOM pricing, where we have a selectors and test bed locator. So Playwright basically support different type of locators to work with the UI, and it's more easy, and it always helps to the automation tester to work on the most of the hardest part of the application, where the elements are currently visible or sometimes it's currently not visible. Then the third point, where we are showing how we have set up a POM object model, like page object model framework for the reusability, and how we have the methods created, how we using those methods to validate the UI correctly. So yeah, for the more execution part, let's move ahead and go to the VS Code. Perfect. So now you can see on the left hand side, we have a framework structure which I have set up previously. And in this framework, we have E2E. E2E is like end-to-end script, where we have two main folders, where we have API test and another one is the functional test. And within the functional test, we have two specific tests, that is login test, and another one is the validate lead generation flow. So in this particular Salesforce application, we specifically have one flow where we create a particular lead, then need to be add few of the details for a particular lead, and at the end we convert that lead into the flow where the marketing flows has been completed as per the end user perspective. So within this test, or before executing those tests, we need to be work with the cookies maintenance part. So we have one spec file already written, that is auth.setup.ts. And within this particular test, we specifically go to the login page first of all. Then after login to the page, we have a username details, where we're passing the username and the password of end user. And after login to the application, we specifically store the state or store the cookies for end user on the specified location. So at the third step, you can see we have a storage state function, where we have passed the particular path, that is playwright slash dot auth slash user.json file. And in the user.json file, we specifically maintain the cookies of an end user. So let's see what we specifically say on this particular location. If we get over there and click on the user.json file, we can see the all JSON structure that we have stored for the end user. So this is nothing but is a cookies that we have stored for the end user and that we can reuse within the different scripts. So we have a login and the valid lead generation scripts or the functional test where we using this particular cookies and log into the application, where basically we bypassing the login flow for the end user. So let's go ahead and we check how we what we basically have in the each script. So in the login test, we as we using this cookies, so we directly navigate onto the home page. Then after navigating on the home page, we specifically click on the user profile button that you can see. This is nothing but a method that we have created in the page object model where we're passing the particular element, and at the end we print the current username from the user profile. Then in the second test, what we have? In the second test, we specifically talk about the creating new lead flow. So as the Salesforce application, and previously Ali has mentioned a few things about it, the Salesforce application is completely dynamic and we have multiple tabs within the application. So here itself also, we have created one dummy application and we have set up with the Salesforce where we having different tabs, and the particularly within that tab, we perform a specified actions for end user perspective where we're adding a few details for end user. So you can see on the top layer or a few of the lines that we have written previously where we talk about navigation on the application part, where we're using the saved cookies, and rather than using username and password, we can directly hit to the home page. Then second flow where we navigating to the leads list page where we click on the lead generation flow when we have a model for a lead details to add, and then we have a few details to add for a lead regarding the different tabs where we having nurturing flow. Then we have a add to or update few details for end user, that is phone number and the other description for the end user like email and other stuff. And at the end of the script, we have a button which specifically needs to be clicked, that is convert lead button. And for that we have a specified model which basically gets visible when all the particular steps are passed. But here is a condition: these particular elements are some sort of time visible correctly or not on the UI, which is the basic the bottleneck for most of the Salesforce application while we performing action in the automation. So most of the time some sort of elements are correctly visible, some sort of elements are correctly not visible, right? So for that we have created one method, that is element visible or not on the UI, and this method specifically check the particular element is visible or not in the application. So now let's move ahead, and you can see in the particular method we have talked about or use the selectors, which is the CSS selector and the XPath, so we can validate both the elements are currently visible or not on the UI. Yeah, so here we basically pass about the convert lead button and check that particular element is visible or not on the UI. And at the end of the script, we expect that particular lead should be converted and validate the UI changes as per the text on the UI. That also supported by the Playwright. So as we see, the Playwright have a vast locator suggestions and vast locator validation part within it, where we can validate the element as per the text, where we can validate the element as per the other areas. Now, how can we execute the test? So for execution of a test, we have one method which is already written into the package.json file. And this method specifically talk about the Playwright test, where we having execution of a Playwright test for a particular project. And we will also talk about what is project that we have set up in the Playwright config. And we are executing the test in the headed mode, that is tag we have also passed over here. Now let's move ahead and check the playwright config.ts. So inside the playwright config.ts, we specifically have three projects which we have already set up. The first project is a setup, then second is a web functional test, and the third project it's about the API test. Within the web functional test, we basically talk about the functional test that we have on the particular location, that is E2E and functional test. And within that, we check the particular specs files are present or not. But before executing those functional tests, we have to execute the setup.ts file that we have already talked about, where we're saving the cookies for an end user. And where we have set up and basically pass those things we have already discussed. Like whenever we save the cookies, we pass those cookies to the user.json file, and from there itself, we're using those cookies into the script. Now, as we see, we have set up all those things in a way where we can execute the test and we get the appropriate result as after the execution of a test. So here, how we execute the test, right? On the terminal, you can see I write the npm run, and you need to pass the particular command, which we have already written to package.json. We just copy paste here, like UI test, and hit the enter. As soon as I hit the enter, it started an execution of a test. So you see, now, yeah, the browser has been open, where we passing the username and password first of all. Then we get navigate into the application and save the cookies for end user. So that flow has been completed. Then in the next test, rather than passing a username and email, we directly get navigate to the application. On the home page you can see, and we click on the user profile and check name of a particular user. So you can see all the details are specifically passed to the terminal as well. And in the third test, as we have discussed, we specifically talk about the lead generation flow. So first of all, we need to navigate on the leads page where we click on the new lead and add a few of the details for a lead. Created that lead, then we have a few tabs. As we see on the UI, we have a few tabs like nurturing, uni qualified, and all those things will be validated. And at the end, we validate this UI where you can see this convert button has been seen twice, and on the basis of the condition that we have written in the script, it gets executed. And all the executed flows are you can see on the terminals, and all the steps also we are logging over here, so we can get the overall view how the test is executed. If something got failed, we can directly know about it. Now let's see, as we see, we have put a condition where we have a if condition where we check the convert button is correctly visible or not. And in the script you have also seen there are twice two times a model has been visible where we needs to be validate the particular elements like convert button is correctly visible or not. And at the left hand side we can see the reports as well. So inside the report folder we specifically saved the index.html file, which is by default saved with the help of a playwright. Let's open it. And in the report you can see all the three tests that we have executed. In the first test we specifically talk about the cache maintenance part or cookie maintenance part and execution flow that we have added over here. Then we have a stress as well from the playwright, and at the bottom we have added the video. So you can see the executed step each and after execution of a test. Then let's move further and talk about the second test that we have executed, where we using the saved cookies from the framework itself. So we have executed few of the test steps where we using the saved cookies get navigated into the application, and in the video you can see all the executed part step by step. So Playwright have a vast areas where we can see they have a stress where we can see the all step executed. Also we can see the video part where we can check what is the failing and what is correct, the flow is correctly passing or not. And in the third test, here you can see the lead generation flow where we have executed all steps where we validating the particular element, we checking clicks, we type things on the application, and at the end you have a stress correctly validated, and we have a proper video of a test as well. So the most uh, hardest part for the Salesforce application is to validate the element. Are the elements correctly visible or not? And also the network logs where we Playwright should have to be maintained and understand the flow of a UI where you need to be wait, or we need to be wait a particular elements, or need to be wait for a particular execution has been completed. So likewise we can work on these areas, and we see all these details are correctly flows and passed into the test. Now the Playwright specifically also have a more vast area where Playwright specifically support all the APIs as well. So in the demo one, we are talk about the functional test part. We have executed few of tests. We have checked like how Playwright supports all the element types and how the reports are looking. Now in the second demo, we specifically talk about the API stuff, how Playwright basically works upon the API. And for that, I think Uday will be Uday specifically talk about the API stuff where he explained you how Playwright basically support about the APIs. So yeah. Uh,
Thank you, Vaibhav.
so
Yeah.
And I just want
yeah.
Thank you, Weber, for this fantastic demo of UI test using Playwright. I just want to add something for UI first before moving to this API demo. So we have like Playwright also provides, its auto waiting mechanism. It's very powerful. Whenever we use page dot locator, and it will wait for that element to be visible, to be attached in the DOM, or even, some other elements are not intercepting it. And all besides that, it also provides some other waiting mechanism, like, wait for page to load, wait for load state, where we can pass the correct state we want to load, like load for page, or maybe wait for network to be idle, wait for DOM content to load. So there are some, and we can mix it together, wait for navigation, so that our test will become less flaky. And yeah, so that was regarding the UI. So in the demo too, let me introduce myself first. I'm Uday Shankar, and I have more than 10 years of experience working with Testrig as a QA automation lead. And so yeah, so for demo two, we have um, we will see the API test cases, how we can automate the API test cases using Playwright. And our goal is to integration with data flow testing, and it will improve our test coverage if we use both API and UI. It will improve our test coverage, and also it will reduce execution time of our suite if we mix it together. So let's start. Let's jump into the demo first. So this is my API test, and this is the same framework. So this is the beauty of new tools and framework where we can have the UI test and API test both at one place, so that we can use these API methods in the UI test to fast our execution. So that even Playwright and even Cypress also provides this. So we have here we have I have couple of tests, actually three tests we have, and we Playwright operates with context, page context or API request context. So we can set it up before start of our suite, and whenever we have to use API test, we can use this request dot get or post or put, whatever method is required there. So here I have used request dot get, and these are some demo endpoints where in the request dot get you have to provide all the things, API URL, your headers, your authentications, whatever required, request body, and the query parameters as well, whatever required to get the response for that endpoint. So in the request, yeah, and in the first test, I'm validating these headers. In the second test, I'm validating the data types of the uh, response body, and also the values of the response as well. In the third test, I'm validating the schema, whether that schema is correct or not. So let me run this using this command npm run API test. And if we hit this command, the API test will execute. We can see in the package.json, in the script, I have this API test. It will execute this npx playwright test e2e API test. So if I hit this, then all the test cases under e2e API test will get executed. So as you can see, running three tests using one worker, because these test cases are running sequentially for now, locally. So one test got executed, and second, third is executing, and so it is passed three of the test cases, and the response of third is pretty much a big one. That's why I'm validating the schema for third test, and also the response, how it's looking. And for the reports, we can see here in the Playwright report index.html, we have the traces, we have the data, as we have seen in the first demo as well. So this is the first one where I am validating the request headers actually. And in the traces, we can see how the flow of the test cases is going. So we can see in the network also, and we can see here in the report, we can see like how it got validated, the headers, and also we can see the traces as well here, and we can also add the console output from the terminal, and this will help us to debug if there is any failure in the report. In the second test as well, I am validating the data types of these. First, I'm validating whether that is response is correct or not, and the data types, whether string, we can validate whether it's a number, whether it's some other data type, and we can validate the body keys value as well from the response, whether those values are correctly coming or not. And I have attached this, we can see the traces here as well. We can see that. So that's the beauty of Playwright. If we mix this API and UI, our test will execute more and more faster than before. And in the traces, like from the previous test, similarly, we can see the traces here as well, and we can see the output. So this was output we have got. And the third test, similarly, whether that response is correct or not, because that response was pretty much pretty big. So I have attached that response here in the in the report, so that it will again this all will help us to debug. So that was the API demo. Let's so right now you have seen two demos, UI and API. So you must have a lot of questions coming in your mind. So start putting your questions in the comment section, and we can go through those questions in the Q&A section at last. So, Ali and Vaibhav, do you want to add something here before we move into the demo three?
Thank you. I think what I would like to add is having API tests along with the UI is really good from a coverage perspective, and it is faster from a testing perspective. You can validate your request response structure so that you get less of those issues on a UI perspective. And there are a lot of features available in Playwright. You can there could be APIs which are long running API which takes more time. You can put an option, you can provide a pool logic in API so that the response, it can wait, and then once it gets response, will continue. And these both UI and API tests can be combined together to make a robust test and find any issues that are coming while either, and you can pinpoint, is it because of the API test or is it because of the UI component. You can differentiate those errors while you're running this automation.
Right. So sometimes, the UI test, it, it is, too lengthy. So we can use API there to set up our data and even clean up our data so that we can avoid unnecessary things on UI. We can directly jump into the test on UI and we can do that. So that was demo two for API. So demo three, we have integration with Bitbuckets and CI/CD pipelines. So for this, our goal is to pipeline integration to provide immediate quality validations. And for this techniques we have used is Bitbucket and Docker image. And we will see the outcome, which is faster and integrated test with the pipeline. So let's jump into the demo. Yeah, so for this, we have this functional test, which we have seen in the demo one. The same test we will execute in the pipeline. So first, let me show you this Bitbucket pipelines YAML file where I have used an Docker image where I have given the script make directory for report and build the playwright test, and it will run those tests and it will also publish the report in the artifacts. So these are some scripts I have given in the YAML file, and this is our Docker file. So here I'm using this Node Docker, but Playwright also provides its official Docker image. If we can use that, we don't have to add these installation in these dependency to that. So it provides all the necessary things to run Playwright test. And if we use the normal node image, then we have to provide all the things, whatever we want to install, whatever required for Playwright test to run. So for now, I'm using this Docker image from Node, where I have to install a lot of things, and I need to run this some commands to install the Playwright related things like required browser dependencies and whatever required for Playwright test to execute. And then it will create a report directory. And these are my commands: npm run UI test. As you can see in the package.json for UI test, we have this npx playwright test e2e functional test, which we have seen in the demo one, which is used in the locally. And now we will execute these tests in the Bitbucket. So there are multiple ways to execute the test in the pipeline. So there are, if we commit something in our branch, the test will start executing. We can schedule it using the cron jobs, and we can also have the on-demand. Manually, we can go there and trigger the job. So for now, here I'm using the commit trigger. So if I commit something, the test will start executing. I have committed in the main branch, and here we can see, if I refresh it, then we can see this execute UI test is in progress. So let's see this how it is executing. So first it will build, it will make the directory for report. You can see in the Docker image also it's loading all the dependencies, all the installation is happening. So here in the build, whatever we have given in the Docker image, it will create that image and it will uh, install all the dependencies, all the required things to run the run Playwright test. Yeah, and so at last, if I scroll down, so it is downloading all the things, whatever I have given in the docker.yaml, and whatever required for Playwright. So it's here, you can see downloading Chromium and then Firefox also, and then it's downloading the WebKit also. So this is another advantage of Playwright to use to provide this WebKit support, because we can test our test in the our application in the Firefox, in the Safari. I mean, related to Mac OS or iOS related browsers. So that is the another advantage of Playwright for supporting WebKit. So here we can see how the tests are executing. Similar steps which we have seen earlier in the demo one locally, and now we can see this how the tests are executing in the pipeline. So all the steps we can see here in the console, in the terminal, running two tests using one worker. And as we are using the Docker and container, so the advantage of using this Docker and container is to, we can parallelize our test execution so that we can get the faster feedback. We can use uh, same container, one container, one machine, multiple container in single machine, or multiple container in multiple machines. So it's all depends on our infrastructure, the support, how we can, how much we can do that. So in the artifacts, the report get published. I am downloading this report, and I will show you how it's looking. Pretty much same thing, same report which we have seen in the first demo, but that was in the local and it is from the pipeline. So in the report, we can see Playwright report and test results. Here are some test results, and in the Playwright report, we have this index .html. So if I open it, we can see these test cases, test results reports. So another advantage of this Playwright, it provides a lot of integration with the report as well. It provides this custom reports, this videos, screenshots, all the things in the reports so that we don't have to debug like why it got failed. We can see in the report why it got failed. So that will help us to debug more faster and easily. It also provides integration with LEO report as well. So, the another advantage of using LEO report is we can have a kind of dashboard there, where if we host that LEO report, then we can have a uh, we can provide that link, we can publish that link to our stakeholders so that they can click on that link, they will go to that report, our dashboard, and can visible to everyone. So that was the demo for